The Genius Club with Prairie Pine. Chapter 75. Changes and Anchors. Late at night. 1:24. Tap, 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 tap. Alex paced back and forth in his bedroom. After a while, he had calmed down and figured out many things. First of all, it was clear. 1. The earth-shaking changes in the dream world were caused by the butterfly effect in time and space triggered by the public release of Ethan's papers. He had just checked the news on his phone. Yesterday evening, the ECA University Research Institute released all of Ethan Hughes's research materials as promised, including the research on overcoming the ice crystal problem, the unfinished paper on hibernation pod filling fluid, and various experimental data on hibernation byproducts. All were publicly available to the world free of charge. This was also Ethan's original wish, but after his death, the ECA University Research Institute executed it on his behalf. The release of the materials caused a sensation in the global scientific research community, and almost all research institutes and laboratories were working overtime to verify them. Because the materials were absolutely correct, the reproduction of the hibernation pod filling fluid was very fast. Even though Ethan's paper was unfinished, the core data and experimental materials were all available. With the world's top scientific research forces focusing on it, it would not be difficult to fill in the last piece of the puzzle. Only 2 hours later, the Academy of Sciences had successfully prepared the hibernation pod filling fluid and started mouse experiments. Subsequently, laboratories and research institutes in various countries also sent good news, one after another, confirming Ethan's research results and this great invention. Even though it was nearly early morning, all kinds of news online were still bustling. The United States had taken the lead in completing the hibernation and thawing experiments on mice, with all vital signs normal, and many research institutes had stated that they would shift their future research focus to the field of hibernation pods. The Academy of Sciences also issued a statement announcing the establishment of a hibernation research institute named after Ethan Hughes, investing a lot of funds, manpower, and material resources to specifically study hibernation technology, striving to create the first generation of simple hibernation pods that could be put into use within 2 or 3 years. There were also various news about award nominations, follow-ups from various national research institutes, and so on. Everything went as Ethan wished. Although he had left this world, the spark of hibernation technology had been ignited, even burning into a blazing fire, showing a tendency to spread like wildfire. With the current momentum of the whole world working together on hibernation pods, Alex had no doubt that hibernation pods could be built within a few years. He believed in the potential of humanity and the power of human unity. But, why is it that even though hibernation technology has been launched hundreds of years in advance, the technological level of the future world has actually regressed? This matter was really unimaginable, and he couldn't figure it out no matter how hard he tried. This was also the second fact that Alex had currently confirmed. 2. The dream world, namely the future world, 600 years later, had actually regressed in technology due to the butterfly effect in time and space, returning to the level of the 1980s and 1990s. No matter how illogical this matter was, facts were facts, and seeing was believing. All of this was personally experienced and witnessed by Alex. if the geographical coordinates when he entered the dream had not changed. The previous spawn point was a square surrounded by a prosperous commercial street with high-rise buildings in the distance, which could be regarded as a modern city. The original city in the dream was also called East Sea City. This was why Alex wanted to go to university in East Sea City, because he really wanted to come here to have a look. But after coming to East Sea City for university, he couldn't find any place similar to the one in his dream. But at that time, he thought it was just a simple dream and didn't think much about it. In fact, it's not surprising when he thinks about it now. Even if the city in the dream was really East Sea City, 600 years later, it wouldn't be surprising. Most modern buildings couldn't last 600 years. They would definitely have been demolished or replanned long ago. None of this matters. Alex shook his head, looked through the window at the brightly lit night view of East Sea City in the distance. What matters is, why has technology regressed, and why has the prosperous East Sea City degraded into a backward small village? He could accept that technology did not progress, or even regress slightly. But the production lines of those technological products that had already been put into use and popularized in thousands of households couldn't just disappear into thin air, could they? Recalling the old man's canteen. That kind of CRT TV, Alex hadn't seen it for many years. Its resolution could be described as full-screen mosaic, and it should have been eliminated by the times long ago. It was not just the TV violin. Incandescent bulbs, hardware wrapped in oil paper, matches, and other things full of the flavor of the times. They shouldn't appear in the future world 600 years later, no matter what. Unless... Somehow, Alex could only think of one possibility. Could it be that there was a world-scale war, or a global disaster hundreds of years later that almost destroyed human civilization? So after recuperating, all human technology had to start over from scratch, and it just developed to this stage. But that's too unrealistic. In the end, Alex still denied this random thought. Since the dream had changed due to the butterfly effect in time and space, there was no need to think about why now. Time-space changes were completely irreversible. Instead of thinking aimlessly here, it would be better to go to sleep early tomorrow and find all the answers in the dream. This was the most steady and efficient way. Alex was tired from pacing back and forth in the bedroom, so he sat at the desk and began to summarize the third fact he had realized. 3. Time-space changes do have very accurate anchors. That is to say, a certain event at a certain time determines that time-space will change, and this is regular. Simply put, it is when the time-space butterfly flaps its wings. Only when the butterfly flaps its wings at a certain time can it stir up a change tornado in the future 600 years later. This is not difficult to understand. The anchor point of the first time-space change was the moment Alex renamed KK Cat to Rhine Cat. At this moment, the time-space butterfly flapped its wings, the future was rewritten, and a time-space change was triggered. The anchor point of the second time-space change was not clear because he did not verify it in time. But he guessed it should be the moment he placed the manuscript in Ethan's laboratory, or the moment Ethan saw the manuscript and completed the initial experiment. From then on, the time-space butterfly flapped its wings again, and the father of hibernation became Academician Goldman. The anchor point of the third time-space change was when Ethan sent the sample of the new hafnium alloy to the Aerospace Research Institute. Time, space, history, and the future also began to change from this moment, causing the material of the safe in the dream to change. The anchor point of the fourth time-space change was a certain moment in the series of events where the East University Research Institute received, sorted out, and released Ethan's research materials and unfinished papers. Because once East University and official organizations intervened in this matter, the possibility of it being burned or stolen was eliminated, and this matter became irrevocable. The time-space change triggered this time was huge and subversive. Unlike the previous small changes, this time-space change had a very wide scope and great intensity, directly rebuilding the entire future world without leaving a trace of its original appearance. Alex guessed that the reason why this time-space change was so drastic might not only be the impact of the hibernation pod filling fluid. It also included Ethan's magical chemical substance, the new hafnium alloy, and other such a series of interlaced and complex events influencing each other, producing a more intense time-space butterfly effect. Although I still don't understand why technology has regressed, the relevant theories about time-space changes are absolutely correct. Alex rested his chin in his hand, twirled his pen, and felt that he had a clue about the rules of time-space, history, and the future. All these changes should follow certain axioms, formulas, rules, or laws. How should I summarize and classify concepts such as the time-space butterfly effect, time-space changes, and change anchors? If he could really master these rules, that would be a terrifying power enough to cross time and space. Alex pondered for a long time and stopped twirling his pen. He unscrewed the cap of the pen. At the top of the white paper, he wrote 4 big characters: the laws of time and space.